Hello, good day everyone. Welcome to our channel. This is Jobran Herrera, the Free Mind. Okay, so my channel discusses a lot of things, a lot of learning videos. So if you want to learn something out of this 20 to 30 minutes discussion, so please do like, share, and subscribe to get to know more about my channel. Okay, so I would like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for all your support to my channel. We are consistently growing and I am very excited kung asa ni Padong. So I am also excited for you guys. So I really hope that I was able to help you throughout your online learning. Okay, so for today's vlog is I'll be discussing to you. This is our lesson number 3 in the subject of contemporary world. So our top topic for today is market integration. So if you want to know more about market integration, so please watch this video until the end. So I'll be summarizing everything so that it would be easy for you to comprehend everything. Okay, so let's start the ball rolling. So what is market integration? Okay, so when we talk about market integration, we are talking about the idea of this is the fusion of multiple marketplaces into one. So we are integrating everything. Okay, so we are doing one system for our market. Okay, so I think this is a good idea. When you are trying to integrate everything about our market system, it would be easy for us to sell our products. It would be easy for us to engage into a lot of businesses because we are integrating everything into one. Okay, but there is a downside. So when you talk about fusion of multiple marketplaces into one, there's also a downside of it. Yes, there is a positive and a negative effect of market integration. So I was able to talk about it. The positive, it's a good thing because it is easy for us to sell our products, to engage into a lot of business. So since we only have one market, since there is a fusion of multiple marketplaces into one, so there's a possibility that we tend to forget price discrepancies across countries. So since we are using only one system, we are using there's a fusion of multiple marketplaces. So we tend to forget how to make some adjustment when you talk about the prices of the products since we are all using one system. So I think that is the downside of creating a market integration for all our products. Okay, so we tend to eliminate price discrepancies across countries because we are integrating everything. Okay, so that is the main idea, the problem of market integration. Okay, so let's talk about the history of global market integration. Since there is a positive and a negative effect of market integration, yes, it is good to have a fusion of multiple marketplaces into one. This is a integration of all our marketplaces, but the downside of it is we tend to forget price discrepancies across countries. So since we are using only one, so when global market integration started before the 20th century. So it was before the 20th century global market integration started. So the main purpose of economic revolution is trying to improve ourselves, to change ourselves. So number one is there are three types of economic revolution. Number one is an agricultural revolution. So when you talk about agricultural revolution, it means that we need to change our agricultural aspect. We need to improve our agricultural aspect to sustain humankind or to provide food for everyone. That's why we need to revolve our agricultural aspect. We need to use a lot of equipment to produce a lot of products, a lot of food. So we need to change it. The number two types of economic revolution is industrial revolution. So when you talk about industrial revolution, it means that because of because of economic revolution, there are a lot of industries, there are a lot of companies that are investing here in the Philippines. And it means that because of our desire to improve our lives, a lot of companies, industries are investing here in the Philippines, and we are inviting them to invest here in the Philippines because part of investment is we can also provide jobs for people. We can only give good life for people. So that's why we need to change our industrial revolution. We need to improve our industrial revolution to help or to improve our lives. Okay, so that is the second types of economic revolution. The third types of economic revolution is information revolution. Information revolution, it means that as we digital technology, so we need to transform it. So as what you've noticed, we are continuously growing, and part of our economic growth is to also invest on some equipment, on some technologies to help us towards our work, or to help us sustain ourselves. Of economic revolution, number one is agricultural revolution. So when you talk about agricultural revolution, it means that we are, because of our desire of economic growth, so we need to transform or to shift ourselves into, we need to change our agricultural system, or we need to improve our agricultural system, because if our agricultural system is good, we're also doing good with our economy. So I think there is a relationship between our agricultural aspect and our economy. Okay, because if we have good agricultural system, we can provide food for everyone. We can provide more products to our people. Okay, so that is the greatest aspect if we are investing to our agricultural revolution. Okay, number two is industrial revolution. So when you talk about economic revolution, economic growth, let's also invest with our industrial revolution. We need to invite others to invest here in the Philippines. We need to invite them to invest or to build companies here, because the more inviting investors to come in the Philippines, to come here to invest, for us to provide jobs for our people. And the third types of economic revolution is information revolution. Because of our digital world, because nowadays we are so attached with our digital world, or some technologies, equipments, new information revolution, we're also trying to absorb everything. We're also trying to improve ourselves. We're also trying to invest more when you talk about information revolution. I know that the millennial group, they are so good with it. They are so good with information revolution. We are transforming everything. We are using a lot of gadgets, a lot of laptops. So just to just to tend to improve ourselves, right? So that is the main idea of information revolution. So the more we are good at it, the more that we can blend in, the more that our economy is growing. So the more equipment, the more technologies, the more that we are so attached with it, the more that it can lessen the burden of our people. Okay, so those are the three types of economic revolution. Okay, so before we can go deeper, so let's talk about global corporations. We have a lot of companies globally. We are also investing a lot of things. So as what you've noticed, there are a lot of companies who are also providing jobs for our people globally. Okay, so they are not just limited to our local people. They're also inviting other employees outside Philippines. So they are called global corporations, and I think that's part of, if you are integrating everything for the market. No, it's very good if you are trying to invite others to come and join. As what we've heard, no, in Cebu, there's a lot of international companies there. In Leyte also, global corporation, because when you talk about global corporation, you're also talking about bigger companies that they are investing or they are providing products globally. They are more focused on the idea of providing jobs internationally. So there are a lot of global corporations. So there are three general types of global corporations. So I think types of global corporations. So the main reasons why we have global corporations, because we are trying to expand our national power. We are trying to expand our companies, to expand our customers, to expand our products. So that's why we have a lot of global corporations here. Internationally, globally, we are providing jobs globally. Okay, so we have a lot of channels. We are providing our service internationally. We are providing our products to worldwide. So that is the main idea of global corporation, providing jobs globally. Our customer is not limited here. We also have customer outside of the Philippines. So that is global corporation. Okay, so you can tell if that company is part of a global corporation. We have here, I'll be talking about the attributes of global corporation. So when you talk about global corporation, their facilities and plants are located all across the world. So they have other plants outside of the Philippines, located all across the world. Number two is their products and services can be moved between countries. So it can be moved anywhere. So that's why you can tell that that company is a global corporation. Okay, number three, attributes of global corporation. The sourcing is done on a global scale, meaning you are talking about on a global scale. You are not talking about just here, you are talking about the global scale. Okay? So the supply chain is global, the demand is analyzed globally, and the logistics and inventory on a global scale. So in short, when you talk about global corporations, your main cue here is the company is providing things globally, global on scale. Okay, globally on a scale. Okay, on a global scale, they are providing a lot of things on a global scale. Not just limited to this place, but on a global scale. Therefore, you can tell that is a global corporation. Okay, but because we are global, because we are now globally competitive, we are providing a lot of things globally on a global scale. So we can't deny that today's world is quickly evolving into a world of regions and ideas, right? Because we are integrating everything, we are providing things anywhere, we are providing a lot of products anywhere on a global scale. So we can't deny the fact that today's world is quickly evolving into a world of regions and ideas. Okay, take note, our ideas have always been an element of globalization. It has always been an element of globalization. So the main idea why we have this term globalization, because we have a lot of ideas, because we think a lot, because we create a lot of things in our mind. That's why we are now experiencing globalization. And I think that's a good idea if you're thinking a lot of things and you share it to others, and then you produce a product because that's what are you thinking of. So I think that's a good thing, right? So everything starts with our ideas. So I have read a tagline, no, do not underestimate the power of your mind, because everything starts with your mind. Okay, so take note, our ideas, we're responsible for all the changes in our environment. Take note, the way you think, the way you create your own ideas, they are all responsible for all the changes that surrounds you, for all the changes in your environment. So if the environment is changing, possibly because people are thinking a lot. So if the environment is changing from this one to that one, possible it's because of the ideas of a lot of people. We have laptops here because it's all started with idea. It all started with this thing. We have a lot of things now because it all started with how we think. Our ideas are all responsible for the changes in our environment. Okay, but according to some philosophers, now let's talk about some philosophers. our physical world is not as timeless, absolute, and unchangeable thoughts. So who discusses about the idea of our physical world. So and that is Plato. And Plato tells us that our physical world, meaning what I am doing now, my physical world, my physical environment, my body, the things that I observe now, according to Plato, our physical world is not as timeless, absolute, and unchangeable thoughts. Meaning everything is changing. Meaning our physical world is not absolute. It's not perfect. It's not permanent, and it keeps on changing. And that is the idea of Plato. And I do agree with Plato that everything is changing. The way you think now, the way you think about yourself, it's changing. And I think that's a normal thing for a person, right? Before I never thought I'll do this, but because of the pandemic hit our country, so I have to do it for my students, for a lot of people, so that I will it away. It is changing. So Plato claims that the world is changing. The world is changing because of the things that you are thinking. The world is changing because of the various concepts generated by your human brains. I am changing because that's what I think about myself. You are changing because that's what you thought about yourself. Therefore, the world is changing as a result of the things that you are thinking of yourself. Okay, that is the idea of Plato. So it's not me who are. I'm just sharing the idea of Plato. Okay, so do not be discouraged because take note, the world is changing. You are sad. Tomorrow you will be happy, and it's part of life. So the world is changing. It's not absolute. If you are depressed, discouraged, it's not absolute. The world is changing. Okay? So when you talk about the world of regions and ideas, so what is region? So when you talk about, yes, we have our ideas, we are the sole responsible of the changes in our environment. Because of our ideas, because of the things that we are thinking about ourselves, we tend to divide ourselves to everybody. Or there is what we call regionalization. Region, meaning this is the practice of dividing an area into smaller portions. So because of our ideas, we tend to practice dividing out an area into smaller portion. We tend to divide ourselves. We tend to create a group for ourselves. We tend to do something for ourselves. So that is regionalization. And the advantage of doing regionalization, since you are just limited, you are just few, right? So the advantages is there is a profit increase, yes, because you are just a small portion. Okay, good salary. You can also preserve your culture, tradition, because you are just so limited. Number three, you can also demand high quality in life because you are just focused with small groups. So that is the advantage of regionalization. The third is that the challenges of doing some regions or dividing yourselves into smaller groups. The challenges is sometimes you can't ask help to another country because you are just here, right? You cannot just ask help to them because they don't know you, because you are just putting yourself here, very exclusive. Okay, number three is sometimes you are not so immersed with other cultures. So I think that's the challenges if we are dividing ourselves into a smaller portion. Okay, so when you talk about globalization, it means this is the process of bringing our international trade, our investment, our information, technology, and culture together. Meaning we are bringing everything into ourselves. We are absorbing everything into ourselves, and that is globalization. And sometimes, no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing if we are globalized, we are equipped with a lot of things, but there is a good side and the challenges. So when you talk about the advantage of globalization is we are so our market is very wide. We can sell products everywhere. We have a very broad understanding of culture. We are so good at it, right? And we are very available throughout the world. We can go anywhere, we can go there, we can invest there, we can invest our money to another country. So that is a good side of globalization. But here also, we also have challenges. So the challenges of globalization is sometimes there is economic depression. Some about globalization. So there are a lot of poor countries. They also experience some economic depression. So because of the competition worldwide, because we are globalized, okay, so that is the challenges of globalization. Okay, so because of our division, because of our region, so we have some countries now that we also need to classify things like the rich and the poor divide. So we also experience the rich and the poor divide. So we have the north and the south divide. Okay, so the north, so we tend to consider them the wealthy and developed countries. The south, we tend to consider them they are not so rich, right? So we are just in the middle. Okay, so these two categories are labeled as the rich and the poor divide. Okay, because we are experiencing global divides, we are experiencing a lot of uh, division. So we can also experience global media culture. So when you talk about global media culture, so the spread of many cultures and ideas is referred to as globalization. So if there is a spread of many cultures, traditions, ideas, that is the influence of globalization. And how do you get influenced by globalization? The answer is through media. So media is a means of communicating something. Media is a means of disseminating something. So that is our channel. That's how we are influenced through media. The way when you watch TV, when you hear some news, so you are influenced with it. What is trending, what is viral, you are also influenced with it. For example, TikTok, you are doing the same thing, what they are doing because it's viral. You are using them because it's viral, it's trending. So that's how we are influenced by media. Okay? So there is also what we call the evolution of media and globalization. Because we are experiencing a lot of divisions, so we can't deny the fact that there's also some changes when you talk about media and globalization. So before, what we are using is just oral communication. The first media channel that we are using is oral communication. We are just talking to them, sharing our languages. So that is our first oral communication. And since it's evolving from time to time, the second evolution is we are using script. So instead of talking or speaking to someone, we can also write it down. Okay, so we write our thoughts, we write what we are thinking of through a script. So as time passes by, it evolves. Number three is we are using now electronic media. So when you talk about electronic media, is we are using internet. I mean, we are using electricity, electromagnetic energy. So just to send our messages, we are now using electricity. Like radio, we are just using some channel, no, electronic media. And the last is the digital media. Nowadays, today's generation, so we are now embracing the idea of digital media. That's why Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, what else? Um, Twitter. So it's very rampant, it's very famous because of the digital media. And because of the online learning that we are using now like YouTube, online learning. So we're also using the internet to send information, not just to write, not just to speak, but we are sending, downloading everything just to share what we are thinking of. And that is the evolution of media and globalization. Okay? So we are called the global village. Because of our media channel, because of globalization, now as humans, we are called the global village. So why we are called the global village? It is because we are connected to one another. We are one community that is linked by telecommunication. We know each other, we share our thoughts through telecommunication. And we are one with this. Since we are one, therefore we are called the global village. Okay? Okay, so media to the growth of a country. So our media channel really helps the ever-growing growth of our country. Because of our media, the role of media, especially now because of the pandemic, there is a skyrocket need of media channel. Okay, so we need to, for us teachers, no, we are not used in doing something like this. We are used to speak physically to our students, but now since the pandemic started, we are now using media channel just to send our messages, just to share our thoughts to our students. Because media, the role of media is to provide opportunities for education. Number one role of media is to provide opportunities for education. And we also have the advantages of media. Advantages of media, we have now a free access to the internet and the social media. We can share our thoughts, we can share what we are thinking of. Social media can be used by anyone. Everyone is equipped with social media, even the young ones, they are so good at it. We are also experiencing democratic change. We have the freedom to speak up, the freedom to share our thoughts, the freedom to express ourselves. And that is our media channel. But the disadvantages of our media channel is sometimes we are experiencing online bashing, online mobs. There are also people who are trying to destroy our online accounts, the hackers, and some fake news. And sometimes we are manipulated by public opinion. So the way we think, we change it because of the public opinion. And we are so divided. Our ideas are so divided because of a lot of information. And that is the disadvantages of media channel. We don't know with others who are just sharing their thoughts about that topic. So that's the disadvantages of the media channel. Okay? So since we are just trying to absorb everything, no, so it's really impossible for us not to get influenced by globalization. And for me, I think that's normal that sometimes you are experiencing information overload. But the idea here is when you talk about market integration, is you need to be responsible, or you need to know how to filter things out. So we are just using one marketplaces, right? And sometimes there is a disadvantages and the advantages of using market integration. But the idea of using this is sometimes we tend to divide ourselves to create a smaller portion of us, and sometimes our ideas are also influenced by a lot of things that we see in our environment. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you get something out of this very quick discussion. So this is our lesson number 3 in the subject of market integration. So I hope you get something out of this very quick. So if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to get more updates. Thank you so much, and God bless.